Welcome to the Enjoy Hoover Podcast, your guide for all things happening in our vibrant city. I'm your host, Melissa Carter, and each episode we bring you closer to the heart of Hoover, its events, businesses, and incredible people shaping our community. Today, we're excited to welcome Kim Cripps, editor and content director of Enjoy Hoover Magazine. Kim will share her journey to Hoover, her passion for highlighting local businesses, schools, and events, and the magazine's commitment to strengthening community connections. Plus, we'll discuss exciting future plans, including a focus on health and wellness. Grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's celebrate all the reasons to love Hoover. We are fully through the first third of 2025, if you can believe it, but the busiest stretch of the year is still ahead of us. Here are several can't-miss events you'll want to know about. If you are a wine connoisseur, you'll want to make your way to the Finley Center for the 8th Annual Magic City Wine Fest. The event, on May 3rd from 6 to 9 p.m., features a wine tour across several different regions spanning the globe. Restaurants will also have food available for purchase. Take a break from your travels and enjoy the soothing sounds of live music. This is a rain or shine event, and tickets are $55. Visit MagicCityWinefest.com for details. Book lovers, you have two opportunities to find a new title. From May 5th through the 8th, the Scholastic Book Fair will be at the Hoover Public Library from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Choose your favorite read for the whole family. Purchases will help the library earn books to benefit Little Free Libraries. Admission is free, book costs vary. Visit hooverlibrary.org for details. Then on May 10th, don't miss the Friends Book Sale at the Hoover Public Library from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Find great deals on used books and media and support Friends of the Hoover Library. Cash, checks, and credit cards are accepted. Admission is free, book costs vary. Call 205-444-7840 for more information. Every Wednesday in May, Board in Birmingham, located at 5426 Highway 280 in Greystone, will host Wine O Wine Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Listen, taste, and learn from a variety of wine distributors and makers. Enjoy light hors d'oeuvres, samples, sales, and door prizes. There is a $15 cover at the door. Must be 21 years or older. Visit boardbham.com for details, and that's BOARDBHAM.com. Every Friday in May, the Ross Bridge Farmers Market is in full swing from 4 to 8 p.m. Kick off the summer with themed events starting on May 9th with Strawberry Day, followed by Flower Day on May 16th and Retro Day on May 23rd. Each market features local farmers, vendors, face painting, and live music. Admission is free. Vendor prices vary. Visit rossbridgefarmersmarket.com for details. Finally, the road to Omaha starts right here in Hoover. The SEC baseball tournament is back in Hoover May 20th through the 25th, featuring all 16 SEC teams in single elimination. Watch an exciting showcase of elite talent as some of college baseball's best teams battle for the most coveted conference championship in the country. Tickets start at $9 for ages 3 to 13 and $18 for ages 12 plus. Children under 3 are free. Visit secsports.com for all the information.
We understand the frustration of trying to find the right answers in a sea of automated big bank options. That's why, for over 120 years, Union State Bank has helped thousands of individuals and businesses find the right financial solutions to achieve their goals. We're committed to building lasting and trustworthy partnerships, not meeting a monthly quota. Union State Bank, where every customer is a neighbor. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. MLO number is 421705.
Let's hear from our future interview of the week.
So today we are getting to know Kim Cripps, who's the editor and content director for Enjoy Hoover Magazine. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kim.
Thank you, Melissa and Keith. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we are excited to talk to you about this. And first I want to say, as the editor of Enjoy Hoover, do you live in Hoover? Did you get involved with the magazine?
That's a great question. I do live in Hoover. I haven't always lived in Hoover. We've been here for about 6 years. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's one of the things that helps us have such solid quality content for this magazine. So I live in Hoover, our publisher lives in Hoover, and most of our team does as well, a photographer, our writers. So between the six of us, we're able to really have a good handle on what's happening in all different areas of the community.
Well, and you can tell. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but you can tell that you really have the pulse of what's going on in the city because of the content. And you can't really do that unless you're local. And so,
Right.
you said you've been there for 6 years. How did you get to Hoover?
So we moved to Birmingham in 2007. And so we're kind of going back a little far now, but we lived in Hoover when we first moved here with my great aunt and great uncle. He was a realtor, so I think he had an invested interest to find us a house very quickly to get us out of his basement. And we ended up settling down in Pelham for about 11 years. And then we realized, our family was in Hoover. Our jobs were not in Hoover, but just on the other side of Hoover. Our church is in Hoover. Kids' activities were in Hoover. We were spending so much time here that it just made sense to sell our house in Pelham and settle down where we were spending most of our time anyway.
Yeah. Well, and when you start to get to know the back ways around Hoover better than you do where you're living, then you you realize,
Exactly.
wait a second, I know this community better. I need to get over here. So that was not a hard transition for you to move over there. And
Not
I
at all.
know that with Enjoy Hoover, in your work, you get to know a lot of businesses, and there's a lot of great businesses in Hoover. And I'm curious if you have, this is not an offense to anybody else, but do you have any favorites that you'd like to highlight?
Well, that saying, they can tell your priorities if you look at someone's checkbook, you can tell where their priorities are. So I think our priorities would be the Point Dance Studio, Chick-fil-A, and Target. But
because that's your common route. We'll get to your kids in a second, but
that's our common route for sure. But I love to support local businesses any chance I get. Oh, Henry's Coffee over in Stadium Trace area. That's my favorite spot. I've interviewing someone tomorrow for the magazine, and I've specifically asked, hey, can we meet at O'Henry's in Stadium Trace? I love that. I love when I have a chance to shop for myself. The Pink Tulip that's recently opened is a great place. Dear Prudence, which I think they just moved to a new location in Knox Square from Patton Creek, the Pants Store, and Rhapsody. Oh my gosh. Anytime I go to a birthday party, it's like all the gifts have come from Rhapsody. So we love just the unique shopping opportunities that we have here. Alabama Goods is another personal favorite. I was really excited when they opened a Hoover location in addition to their Homewood location as well. And we spend a lot of time at the Finley Center and the park and the splash pad over that way. So there's always somewhere to spend money or something fun to go do.
Well, and it's the diversity of it, right?
It is.
Everything complements each other. And, I'm going to, talk about the fact that you mentioned your route with your children, and we had talked about our children and what they eat and the things that they go through when it comes to eating. And so when you mentioned Chick-fil-A, I'm assuming chicken nuggets has something to do with.
Absolutely. We were there last night getting our fill of chicken nuggets and ice cream. So
that's what we're talking, because my son, it's still his chicken nuggets is his base protein. But, talking about but talking about children, I think one of the other things that Hoover, I don't know, makes it charming and a connection for people is the schools. And so talk a little bit about your experience as a parent with the schools.
Sure. We've been just honestly blown away by the school system here. I grew up in Mobile, and where the area of town that I lived in, there weren't really good options for public school. So I grew up going to private Catholic school. So when we moved up here, the idea of sending my kids to public school wasn't something that I was initially comfortable with, really just because it was different than my experience. So on paper, we had planned to send our kids to private school, but you start having multiple kids and money doesn't go so far, and you're like, well, maybe we'll look into public school. And we're so glad that we did. We've had great experiences. My oldest is 14. She's a freshman at Hoover High. And so we moved to Hoover when she was going into 4th grade. So COVID year. Even with that being our first experience with Hoover Schools, our teachers did an incredible job. Like, that was such a difficult time to try to transition from in-person learning to virtual learning. And it wasn't without its growing pains, but she still got a really solid education, even in the midst of a pandemic. And, moving to middle school with a girl, you hear, yeah, oh, there's so much drama, just girl drama, be ready. We had zero drama in middle school. It was fantastic. And now that we're at Hoover High, it is a big school, but I think there's so many different clubs and activities for the students to be involved in that it's a lot easier to find your group of people and to be able to have those personal connections and relationships, even in a big school setting. And there's so many unique opportunities.
Well, it seems there's a lot of, when it comes to schools, and again, as a parent, I'm with you. There are some things that people warn you about, and then it doesn't happen. And there's
Right.
always this negative energy when it comes to public schools. And sure, there's problems, but it's not like there are good public schools and experiences like you mentioned. And so I think that's important for people to understand. And I know that, when it comes to Enjoy Hoover, I, as a parent, enjoy reading about accomplishments of local students in each issue, because I do think it's important to get to know the young people as well as everybody else and the business owners, as you do as well. But what else do you like to include in the magazine?
Sure. And I'm going to touch on what you said really quick about our local students too. We recently started highlighting that within the past few months. And there's so many students to choose from. We could probably have multiple issues just highlighting all of the great accomplishments of our local students. But that's been a really fun thing to include. But we love to highlight new businesses as an opportunity to show off new exciting things in Hoover. And I think it's helpful for people who are coming to Hoover to visit, whether it's for a special event or a sports activity, or whether they, find themselves here with visiting family over the weekend, but also to let our residents know about new things that are coming. I love to highlight special events and activities, festivals, farmers markets, art shows, things like that, and even community leadership as well. I know a lot of times when you've got a city of this size, there can be concerns about whether or not you're hearing enough from your leadership. And we like to provide an opportunity when we can for those leaders to be able to speak to their constituents through our magazine. So we really try to run the gamut in terms of content, but as long as it's, timely and interesting, relevant. But I think we focus a lot on business too, businesses and kids' accomplishments and special events that people can come out and enjoy and get involved with their friends and family.
Well, I know that living in a suburb of a city, sometimes you can get lost. And what I like about Enjoy Hoover is the fact that if you live there or just moving there, you get, like we said, local content. You get to know, like you said, the local leaders, the local businesses, the local students. And, it's really, seemingly like one of the best ways to have that community feel, because you know what's going on. And so if someone wants to be featured in Enjoy Hoover, how does somebody do that? And who are you looking for?
That's a great question. If we have a business that is getting ready to open or newly opened, or maybe even they've been open for a while and are celebrating an anniversary, maybe they've been open for a year or 5 or 10 or have a special event coming up. We'd love to highlight that. We'd love to highlight in our coming up issue, our May-June issue, we're featuring 3 high school students who have unique summer businesses and how they can serve the community. So it doesn't have to be traditional school accomplishments. It can be just other cool things that kids are getting out there and doing. If there is a nonprofit that's hosting a fundraiser that they're selling tickets to, that they want to invite the community to, I think that would make a really interesting story as well. And you can go to, our website, if you go to enjoyhoover.com, there's ways to contact us on there and reach out and let us know, share your story with us and let us know when we can set up an interview and get some content scheduled for the magazine.
I love it. So one last question. What can we expect from the magazine moving forward? We're already fans.
I'm glad. Well, I hope we can continue that. I think you'll like what we've got coming down the pipeline. You've probably seen our letters to Santa that we've started doing at Christmas time now, which is with the kids in the Hoover Schools, and they write their letters to Santa. So we'll have another one of those coming out in several months. But before that, we are working on a Healthy in Hoover magazine that will showcase all the different ways that you can stay active in our city, so health and wellness, and that'll come out this fall. We started last year a Hoover Schools yearbook that comes out after this current school year ends, and that showcases a little bit about each of our public schools. And that I think is it's fun for the parents of current students to see, but it's also really fun if you're thinking about moving to Hoover and you want to see firsthand what's going on in the school system.
Well, if you're a parent, that's the main thing that you look at in communities, right? Is the schools. Because, if you're not before I was a parent, I heard people talk about schools all the time and never understood why they were so consumed by it. I guess because I grew up in a small town in Tennessee where it was like a few elementary schools, one junior high, one high school. So we had it was predetermined where we were going to go. But when you live in a metropolitan area, there's so many choices that I think it's brilliant of you guys to highlight so that people can see what Hoover has in store. And so Kim Cripps, who is the editor and content director for Enjoy Hoover Magazine, has joined us. Kim, thank you so much. And thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me. It was a blast. And we do have a dining and visitors guide coming out in May. So get your hands on that and let me know what you think. I think you'll be a fan of that too.
The Iron Chef competition is set to return to Hoover as part of Hoover Restaurant Week, hosted by Enjoy Hoover Magazine, bringing together local chefs, culinary students, and food enthusiasts for an evening of high-stakes cooking and delicious food. Scheduled for June 24th at Jefferson State Community College, the event will showcase the skills of professional chefs of different Hoover restaurants while providing a unique educational opportunity for high school students from RC3, River Chase Career Connection Center, and college students from Jefferson State. The first Iron Chef debuted last year as part of Hoover Restaurant Week to help support and promote Hoover's restaurant community. There are so many culinary destinations, international and domestic kind of flavors, that we want people to stay in Hoover and spend their money here, David Cohen, co-creator of Hoover Restaurant Week, said. The Iron Chef competition showcases 4 special restaurants and their talents. Brian Mooney, the owner and executive chef of Trey Luna Bar and Kitchen, was the winner of last year's competition. This year's competing chefs have not yet been finalized, but the organizers are currently working to pick 4 worthy culinarians. A defining feature of the Iron Chef competition is its educational component. Each participating chef is paired with 2 sous chefs at random, one from RC3 and one from Jefferson State, giving these students real-world experience under the mentorship of industry professionals. The students, selected as top performers by their respective schools, assist with menu creation and food preparation, learning firsthand the challenges of high-pressure culinary work. The restaurant industry can be brutal, but learning from experienced chefs in a competition is a great way to learn the ins and outs. Writing menus and talking about food, that's a glimpse into a real kitchen, Cohen said. That's a fantastic opportunity for students. This year's panel of judges will include last year's Iron Chef champion Brian Mooney from Trey Luna, alongside Claire Huddleston from WBRC and Joseph Mitchell, a retired director of Jeff State's culinary program. The event is timed like all high-stakes cooking competitions are. The chefs are granted access to the kitchen at 3 p.m., and the first course is served at 6 p.m. when each team is tasked with preparing 3 plates for the judges and 35 sample plates for the audience members. They will then be scored on appearance, flavor, presentation, and originality. Last year, the winning sous chef received a $1,000 scholarship, and we're optimistic that we can offer the same this year, said Cohen, while emphasizing that sponsorships are still being finalized. Adding an extra layer of excitement, this year's competition will introduce a secret ingredient, sponsored by Gordon Food Service, revealed only 24 hours before the event. With continued sponsorships and community support, the event is poised to become a staple in Hoover's annual calendar. As long as I have the energy and the support of our restaurant community, we'll keep doing it, Cohen said.
If you're looking for a great hospital for great care, UAB Medical West is brand new and state-of-the-art. And recently joining their staff, Dr. Jamal Fitz, on why he chose MedWest.
Moving forward to start my practice, which was a big point for me because I did want to come back to Birmingham, given that's where I'm from. This is where my family is. I wanted to get back to that and give back to my community.
And we're glad to have you, Dr. Fitz. What is your specialty at UAB Medical West?
So I am an orthopedic surgeon who specializes in spine surgery. And a lot of people don't recognize that, but ortho does spine as well as neurosurgery. For me, I handle degenerative type of pathology, lumbar stenosis, cervical stenosis, back pain, neck pain. You can come and see me, and usually I can find something that works for you, most times in a minimally invasive type of way.
Dr. Jamal Fitz, one of more than 300 physicians at the new UAB Medical West. Comprehensive care for the entire family and designed around nature to promote an environment of wellness and healing rather than illness. UAB Medical West, just off 459 at the McCullough exit.
Abby Stockard's goal is just to be Abby. At 22 years old, the 2025 Miss America winner from Fastavia aims to always be her authentic self while making the Miss America program something people want to be part of. Abby competed in her first pageant just a few years ago when she was 19 and earned third runner-up in the Miss Auburn University pageant. Motivated by her success and curious about what may lie ahead, she competed in Miss Cahaba Valley the following weekend. What started as a fun way to try something new began to unfold into a series of life-changing events that would teach Abby about the power of perseverance. Over the next couple of years, she placed in the top 5 in other pageants and competed in Miss Alabama in 2022 and 2023. Looking back, she says she wasn't ready to win, but didn't know it at the time. I needed to continue growing, she said. In 2024, Abby was named Miss Hoover. It was this title that propelled her to become Miss Alabama in 2024, her third time in a statewide competition. I could not have asked for a better local title before going to Miss Alabama, she said. It was the first title that I felt the community respected and really cared about, setting me up for success. The best part was that everyone was willing to help. And did they ever? Abby collaborated with Hoover's community leaders to host a fundraiser for cystic fibrosis, a platform that is close to her heart because her best friend was diagnosed with CF when the girls were 9 years old. I made a promise to her that I would do everything possible to fight for her, Abby shared. The fundraiser, a hilarious event featuring a good-natured roast of Hoover Police Chief Nick Durzis, raised $190,000 in one night. The event became the largest cystic fibrosis fundraiser in the state of Alabama, with proceeds going directly to support cystic fibrosis research therapies at UAB. During her time as Miss Hoover, Abby said Miss Hoover Foundation Director Julie Bentley poured into her, ensuring she had many opportunities to practice and improve her public speaking while engaging and truly connecting with people. I truly believe that's what launched me to Miss America, she said. Through all of this, including serving as Miss Hoover while a full-time straight-A nursing student at Auburn University and a member of the Tiger Paws dance team, Abby has learned the power of making little sacrifices to accomplish her goals, time management, identifying what's important, being comfortable with failing, and perhaps most importantly, the power of never giving up. The Lord was working on every detail of my life. He knew exactly what he was doing, even though I didn't understand why, she said. Now, as Miss America, Abby remains grateful for the Hoover community that showed her such an immense amount of support. She is representing Alabama very well on a national stage while spreading the message that you win by being yourself. Thanks for listening to the Enjoy Hoover podcast. For even more information about Hoover and what's happening, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.